Hey, everybody. Welcome to our live stream. We're emanating from the First Star Logistics studios. You're in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics. And we're talking Cincinnati Bengals. And the Cincinnati Bengals got off the schneid after two tough losses that could have been wins, but just couldn't quite finish those football games. They got one done. And when you win by 2 scores in the NFL, that's an accomplishment. And that's what they did on the road against the New York Jets. And so now they have a short week, and they have a Thursday night nationally televised football game against the Miami Dolphins. And who would have believed that the Miami Dolphins, with a 3-0 record, would be the only team in the AFC undefeated? Who would have thought that? And they just knocked off the Buffalo Bills. And how about some crazy numbers in that game? Let's hit that real quick. Buffalo ran 90 plays, and they kind of melted in the heat down there at Miami. I'm thinking Miami's defense has to be a little bit fatigued, playing 90 snaps against that Buffalo Bill offense, coming up on a short week to Cincinnati. You got to do the travel. You're the visiting team. You have the road trip and everything associated with it. That's got to be a little bit of a factor. Miami's offense ran 39 snaps, scored 21 points. Buffalo's offense ran 90 snaps and only scored 17. There was the butt punt. That was a safety for 2 points. 21-19 football game. Buffalo had 497 yards offense to 212 for the Dolphins. Talk about efficiency and inefficiency. Yards per point. Are you kidding? 17 points on 497 yards, and the Dolphins scored 21 points on 212. Field position had to be a big deal because there was only one turnover in the football game. I looked, I'm like, had to be a turnover issue. Not really. Maybe fourth down. Maybe there's some fourth down stops, and those are like turnovers. But at any rate, time of possession, the Bills 40 minutes and 40 seconds to 19 minutes and 20 seconds, more than 2-1. 31 first downs to 15, and lost the football game to the Miami Dolphins. So very resourceful are those Dolphins. Tua went 13 for 18, 186 yards and a touchdown. Jared Allen threw it 63 times, 42 for 63, 400 yards, 2 touchdowns, and lost. So you look at the Dolphins and you're saying, look what they did to the Baltimore Ravens on the road. On the road, down 3 scores in the fourth quarter, come back and beat Baltimore in Baltimore. And then they, statistically, you look at the Buffalo football game where it's like, oh, these are the Super Bowl favorites, the Buffalo Bills. Everybody loves the Buffalo Bills, and why not? You know, Jared Allen is special. There's no question. And they beat them. When if you look at all the stats, you say, Buffalo won this in a rout. They lose the football game. So there's something magic going on down there in Miami. And confidence is a powerful thing. This football team is confident right now. So it's going to be very interesting on a short week to see how the Bengals respond. They get that W under their belt. The Miami Dolphins, as I said, have 3 W's under their belt. I think a lot of experts and prognosticators would have had the reverse, would have had the Bengals at 3-0. And realistically, they should be. They could be and should be 3-0, very definitely. And they probably, a lot of them thought the Dolphins might be 1-2 with the teams that they played. Baltimore on the road and Buffalo, just the reverse. They're 3-0. The Bengals are 1-2. It's amazing that after 3, the Miami Dolphins went undefeated, the last undefeated team in professional football. They go undefeated in 1973. And here they are, the only undefeated team left in the AFC, and it's only 3 games in. See if the Bengals can knock them off. The Bengals would then pull themselves to 2-2. You got to get back to 500 first before you can get over 500. You dug a 2-game hole, but you didn't dig one any deeper. Didn't dig any deeper a hole. And it was very interesting, some of the things the Bengals decided to do against the Jets. They came out and won the coin toss and decided to take the football. Joe Burrow talked about that in his presser earlier in the week. Zach Taylor did as well. You know, you start to think, okay, change whatever you need to change up to get on track, you're going to do it. And that was a decision they made, that if they did win the coin flip, and they keep winning it, it's amazing how often they win the coin flip, they're going to take the football because they wanted to score first. You know, they wanted to play with the lead, had not played with the lead in either of the first 2 games of the season. 130 minutes of football, counting overtime in the opener. and never had a lead 1 second. So they go on a drive to start the football game. And, it's amazing how the game of football can turn out. Bottom line is you got to make plays, because the Bengals had problems getting off to fast starts and having first down issues where they got off schedule. So the Bengals decided to take the football, try to get off to a fast start, score first, play with the lead. And the Bengals' last 7 wins, they have scored first. In 6 of those 7 wins, they've scored on the first possession. So they do it in this one. They go 11 plays, 75 yards. But down the stretch, it's first and goal at the 4-yard line. Our first down at the initially we have a 3rd and 8 at the Jets 26-yard line, a completion to Tyler Boyd for 22 yards, puts them in great field position. The Bengals, it's 1st and 14 because of a holding penalty that takes the touchdown off the board. They're in the low red zone, 1st and goal. They score a touchdown. Rookie Volmer is called for holding. Volson, I should say, is called for holding. 1st and 14. Points come off the board. Touchdown doesn't count. You're penalized, 10 yards. 1st and 14. Burrow, short pass to Mixon for 2 yards. Incompletion, the one to T. Higgins, where the Bengals are the first victim of the new rule. The toes are in, but the heels aren't. If you're facing the quarterback, it has to be that way. If you're not facing the quarterback, facing the other direction, it's okay for the toes to be in first. I mean, it's stupid. It should be tap. If you get the toes in, it's a touchdown. Hopefully they go back to that and get rid of all when they become overly officious and there's too much language to a rule, it's no good. Cut it back. Keep it simple, stupid. The old KISS theory. So, they're looking at a situation, 3rd and 12. Okay, so they drive the length of the field. They had a touchdown that came off the board. If they don't score a touchdown on this drive, people are going to be like, oh, geez, here we go again. 3rd and 12, Joe Burrow extends, creates a play, throws a touchdown pass to Samaje Perine. If they didn't score a touchdown on that and kicked a field goal, the Jets came right back and kicked a 50-yard field goal to tie it, to put 3 points on the board. It would have been tied 3-3 instead of a 7-3 game. The next possession for the Bengals, Jamar Chase fumbles on the 3rd play of the possession. Jets recover. They kick another field goal. So it would have been a 6-3 game in favor of the Jets instead of 7-6 in favor of the Bengals, and everybody would have been up in arms again. Oh, here we go. Can't penalties on first down, penalty that wiped out a touchdown. Bottom line is, if you make plays, all that stuff evaporates. If the Bengals had lost the game, everybody would have gone through it with a fine-tooth comb and picked out all these plays, just like they did in the first 2 weeks. And naturally, that's the human reaction to do it. If you didn't do this, if you didn't do that. When you win, no big deal. Holding penalty wasn't a big issue. Taking a touchdown off the board really didn't matter because you won the game. Bottom line, it's all about making plays. It always has been, always will be. And in most games in the National Football League are decided by just a handful of plays. And when they present themselves, you have to capitalize. You have to execute. You can't let one slip through your hands. You have to make a play and not make a mistake. You have to force the opponent to make a mistake at a key point with a key play in the football game. And literally, if you make a play instead of a mistake and force a mistake instead of allowing them to make a play, and that'll decide a game in the NFL because it's that evenly contested. Everybody's got abilities or they wouldn't be in the National Football League. But Bengals climb out of the winless column, put one in the left-hand column. They're 1-2. Here come the Miami Dolphins, feeling very, very confident. I think that they're ripe. I think that they're ripe to get knocked off because they're riding high right now. They think they're invincible. If the Bengals play their game, take care of business, the Bengals are still favored. Last I saw, the Bengals were favored by, I don't know what it was, 3.5, 4 points. I think the last deal I saw that had a line involved with it. So this one should be a really good football game. But one thing you got to realize, these Miami Dolphins are never out of it. They've shown that. If you have a lead in the second half, you can't sit on it. You know, the Bengals built themselves. They played well in the first half against the Jets, kind of stalled out in the second half a little bit and hung on. Can't do that against these Miami Dolphins. You have to keep the pedal to the metal. You have to finish them off because they're going to play every minute of the football game. They've shown that. And they've shown it against really good football teams like the Baltimore Ravens and like the Buffalo Bills. You got to go finish the game, no doubt. Okay, so it's time to hear from you guys. See what you have to say. See what's on your mind. See what you're thinking about. Where are we going, Dave?
We're going to start with a question, basically the possibility to rest DJ Reader, the status of DJ Reader, who went out against the Jets.
Yeah, DJ Reader, you may not have a choice. With a short week, he may not play. You may not be making a decision to rest him. As of yesterday, and there'll be more information coming out about DJ Reader today, but as we're speaking, the media has not been able to be a part of what's going on down there at the stadium yet. But as of yesterday's media with Zach Taylor, they were still taking pictures, MRIs, scans, all the things that they do. Bottom line is these guys are so darn strong in their quads and hamstrings and surrounding muscle groups. If there's an issue with the knee, he got up and walked off the field. So it's not like he blew his knee out, but you still could have a cartilage issue or a ligament issue, a mild one. Might not need to be surgically repaired, but there may be something in there that is going to keep him out for a little while. Hopefully that's not the case. And hopefully he's able to just rehab like crazy and do a lot of physical therapy with the trainers this week. And I'm sure he's detached at the hip to those guys. I bet they've been doing above and beyond in terms of ice and heat and stimulation and all the different treatments that you're going to do to try to play in this football game. But the fact that it's a short week, it's a Thursday night game, he might have, even if it's slightly stretched or sprained, probably have a pretty good chance to play on Sunday. But to play on Thursday night might be a superhuman effort. But tell you what, in last week's game, he took a couple of Jets offensive linemen on a double team and threw both of them down like they were rag dolls. He threw down Raggedy Andy and Raggedy Ann. He threw them both to the ground. And I'm like, wow, this guy, he's playing some football. That's a powerful human being. So I think the percentages are very, very low that he would play on Thursday night. But I got everything crossed. I got fingers, thumbs, toes, everything crossed that I can possibly cross because he is a force inside. He's playing at a Pro Bowl level. He's played at a Pro Bowl level for a couple of years and hasn't gotten there. He's Lou Anarumo will tell you that he is the focal point of what's going on in terms of stopping the run. He's right in the middle of all of it, and they're not moving him off the line of scrimmage. But I will say that the rotation stepped up. Guys stepped up in his absence. B.J. Hill had himself a good game. Tupac went in there and gave him some good snaps. And rookie had to step up and give them a little bit more than they had thought, going in on a rotation basis. Zach Carter, third-round pick out of Florida. He ended up playing more in the rotation. So that's what it's all about. Guys stepping up when somebody goes down. That's why you have roster depth. That's why you have competitions in training camp. So if DJ can't play against the Dolphins, I hope it's just that week because it was a short week. And I hope if it was a Sunday game, I hope he would have been able to play. But just don't know yet. Don't have enough information on it. So can't play doctor. Everything right now is just hypothetical. It's all guesswork. There's no facts yet. We shall see.
London is calling Yash, our guy Yash from London. Says it's raining in London.
That's nothing new.
We always have to give him a shout out.
Oh, absolutely.
Top 5 defense versus top 5 offense will be interesting.
Yeah, it will be. This Miami defense has got some continuity. Mike McDaniel, the 39-year-old head coach, this is his first head coaching job. He brought Frank Smith as a coordinator with him, but Josh Boyer was retained as the defensive coordinator, as was Denny Crossman, who's a heck of a special teams coach. So he kept the continuity and consistency on that side of the football. And they've got quite a few players who have been there a while with Josh Boyer. He knows what they can and can't do. They know what his expectations are. That's a good defensive football team. Their alignment is a 3-4 package, 3 down linemen, 4 linebackers, but they morph. They'll morph into 4-man fronts, and they'll give you a lot of different looks. They have a lot of players that have position versatility. There's so many positionless players in today's NFL, and defensive coordinators are so clever with them. We know how great Lou Anarumo is in that regard here in Cincinnati, but it's a league-wide thing. It's a league-wide phenomenon. And boy, they can show you a bunch of different looks without substituting personnel because of the flexibility and the versatility of the physical talents of these guys. And they'll morph on the fly. So you have to definitely dot your I's, cross your T's, understand exactly what you're looking at, because pre-snap and post-snap, it can be a lot different. This defensive football team is got some players. A guy that's interesting, going to be interesting to watch up front, Emmanuel Ogbah. He's got 18 sacks in the last 2 years. That's 5th amongst defensive linemen. Now when you're on the depth chart, TJ Watt is listed as an outside linebacker, but he puts his hand on the ground. He's a rush lineman, but position-wise, he's an outside linebacker. So Ogbah with 18 sacks, though, 9 a year on an average basis is big. Plus, he's knocked 30 passes down in the last 2 seasons. 30 leads the NFL. So Emmanuel Ogbah is somebody that you're going to have to definitely, make sure that you get taken care of. Christian Wilkins is another very solid player. They've got Melvin Ingram. Seems like the Bengals have played against Melvin Ingram every year, and he's with different franchises every year. I mean, he's been around the league, and Bengals played against him when he was with the Chargers. He's a good player. They have one of the best cover corners in the National Football League, Xavier Howard. I mean, that's going to be whoever he matches up with, and he's going to match up with, I'm not sure if he's going to follow and chase or if he'll just stay on one side of the field, and whoever the Bengals put out there against him, that's going to be an interesting matchup to watch. So they've got players at every level, just like all good defenses do. They're very well put together, and they're very, very sophisticated. You have to be, in my opinion, when I was playing against defenses like that, from a game plan standpoint, I always liked having a few plays that you could do well, and you knew what to do like the back of your hand against every possible defensive look you got. So have 5 or 6 things that no matter what they do against you, you can run this. You feel comfortable running this play, whatever it is. 3 runs, 2 passes, whatever it is. You have your go-to plays that, if all hell's breaking loose, you can go back to these core plays, these foundational plays in this game plan to get the job done. And I think that's a way to look at how to attack this Miami Dolphins defense. And it is a short week, so it's going to be interesting. A lot to prep for. And Zach Taylor talked about it yesterday. On a normal week, it's much different than in this compressed week. They're basically taking 5 days and jamming it into 2. So, in a normal week, you have first and second down on Wednesday, third down on Thursday, and then Friday you have short yardage goal line and red zone. Well, now it's like, because of the short week, you've got first, second, and third down today. Tomorrow, you've got short yardage goal line and red zone. So you're 3 components today, 3 components tomorrow, instead of spreading it out over 3 and 4 days from a preparation standpoint. And then you kind of fine tune it on Wednesday, just like a Saturday practice before Sunday. It's just polishing, fine tuning, those kind of things. But I mean, there's not only a difference in the physical preparation, there's a big difference in the mental preparation on a short week as well. So you're cramming. It's like you're cramming for a test. It's a cram course. And you have to take that into account. Don't overload the players' minds. Don't blow their minds. They've got a lot of things going on that normally is spread out over more days. So being prudent about how much you ask them to do mentally and physically, it is a big deal. They won't hit. They won't even put shoulder pads on this week. But Zach Taylor said he's going to get the blood flowing. He's going to get him out there and get him running around a little bit, because he said he learned his lesson in the first Thursday night appearance the Bengals had under his coaching regime, and they didn't do quite enough physically to get the lactic acid out and all those kind of things. So you want to run them a little bit, get the blood flowing, but rest is a big deal. Rest is a massive deal, and you have to be a pro. If you're a player, you have to rest. Don't go out catting at night. I mean, you got to rest. You have to eat right. You got to follow your workouts. Make sure you take care of your body on this short week. And the younger you are, the easier it is to rebound. Playing on Thursday night in my first, second, third year in the league, shoot, I play a game on Sunday. I felt like I could play Tuesday. You get into, years 9, 10, play a game on Sunday. I want every day possible and play on the following Sunday or Monday night, but I don't want a short week the next week. I mean, when you're a veteran player, you like to have a full week to recover and get through what you need to get through, because your body doesn't bounce back and respond as easily as it did in your younger years. So you have to take all that into account. For the most part, though, this football team is very young. That should not be an issue. They should be ready to roll on Thursday night, hopefully mentally as well as physically.
All right, next question from David Crumman. Houday, did you hear about what Tyreek Hill said to Eli Apple? And first off, I got to say,
I did.
Very proud of Eli Apple not taking the bait.
Yeah, I mean,
not yet, at least.
Not yet. And what you have to do is, if you're Eli Apple, it's like, I'm in his head. If that's his mindset, I'm in his head right now. So maybe he'll press. Maybe he'll, try to embarrass me. Maybe he'll try to do too much. And when you try to do too much, the psychological aspect of sports is real. Believe me. I did see the post that Tyreek Hill put out there. I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you. This is the cheetah. The cheetah's coming for you. I will say, Hill and Waddle, my God, those are two legitimate number one receivers. Just like, in my opinion, the Bengals have two legitimate number one receivers. I think Chase and Higgins are both number one receivers. So Dolphins have two as well. They can fly, no doubt about it. It's almost like an Olympic sprint relay team. Instead of a baton, they're playing with a football instead of passing a baton. These guys can rip, and you can't let them throw the ball over your head. If you're a defensive player and a defensive coordinator and a defensive coach, one play drive ain't going to do it. You can't let them do that. Both these guys had over 100 catches last year. Now, Hill obviously was with the Chiefs, but they both had over 100 catches for over 1,000 yards, obviously. I mean, they're both big time. It's going to be an interesting matchup when Tyreek Hill and Eli Apple match up during the course of the football game. But how much man will they play? How much zone will they play? You're not, in my opinion, you're not going to put anybody man on Tyreek Hill and have him follow Tyreek Hill around the whole game and just play man coverage, and then everybody else take care of all the others. That ain't cutting it, man. You gotta pay some attention to Tyreek Hill, but you have to pay attention to Waddle as well. And how about Waddle's touchdown celebration, which is the waddle? I mean, I don't want to see Waddle waddling around in the end zone. I can tell you that right now. They've combined for 5 touchdowns between the two of them. 5 touchdowns already on the board between those two receivers. It's legit. It's going to be very interesting. I think the wide receivers are a big factor, but in my mind, another big factor, which tight end is going to show up. They have a great one themselves, Gesicki. This kid's 6'5", 6'6", 250, and has size and athleticism, and And Hayden Hurst, he's fighting a groin injury. It's limiting him a little bit. Hopefully, after this short week, he'll be able to really take care of that groin. But how many opportunities will the tight ends get because of all the attention that's going to be paid to these wideouts, and rightfully so? Which tight end will step up? I think that's going to be an interesting thing to follow in this football game as well, because you got some couple of good ones that can be a factor on third down, red zone, and both can put their hand in the dirt and block as well. It's going to be an interesting game to monitor the tight end play.
Dolores always has a good question. Dave, where did that toe heel rule come from with Higgins in the end zone? And is Hendrickson a menace to society?
Hendrickson talks about blacking out. I mean, he basically goes dark. And when he's in that mindset, when he's in that space, don't mess with him. And he is a force. There's no question about it. He is a force. When the Dallas Cowboys were pass protecting, they had a tight end, tackle, and running back. They were triple teaming him, or they'd slide a lineman and have a running back, 3 players. I mean, Hendrickson, when they're paying that much attention to Hendrickson, his teammates have to win their one-on-ones. If you're putting 3 players to one guy to take care of one guy, others are going to have single matchups that they have to win. They have to win. And they did. They did win quite a few of those. I have to give Dallas credit. They got the ball out. The ball was out quickly. Cooper Rush did a hell of a job. He did a great job last night as well. I mean, he played a good football game. And he got the ball out of his hand. There's no two ways about it. He's undefeated as a starting quarterback. 3-0. How about Cooper Rush? Jerry Jones says, "It's going to be a quarterback country." I can't believe he played that card. But anyway, I'm digressing a little bit. Hendrickson is a game wrecker. A game wrecker. He's a menace to offensive football society. There's no question about that, because this dude is something special. And man, when he decides it's time and I'm going to get the edge, he's something. He has that innate ability to time the jam of an offensive lineman and get small, twist his body, not give you much hitting surface. If an offensive lineman, a tackle, gets both hands into Trey Hendrickson's chest, to me, it's like, wow, that's a heck of an accomplishment. He doesn't allow that to happen very much. And he's got so much explosiveness. His first step quickness is unbelievable. And bottom line is, what he is doggedly determined. Never quit. Never say die attitude. That's Trey Hendrickson. And that's contagious. The rest of his offensive linemen feed off of it. We did some radio with B.J. Hill yesterday. He was talking about it. He was talking about the mentality that Trey Hendrickson brings to the game and the physicality that he brings to the game. Everybody feeds off of it. So he is definitely a menace to the National Football League offensive game plan society, to answer your question. And then T. Higgins, we talked about it before. That rule, the adjustment they made in the toe heel rule, get rid of it. If you get 2 toes in, any body part, one elbow, like John Madden said, 1 elbow equals 2 feet. 1 knee equals 2 feet. So why not 2 toes equal 2 feet? I mean, come on now. It's part of the foot. Why do you have to go toe heel? And you can go toe only if you're facing away from the quarterback, but if you're facing the quarterback, toe heel, or vice versa, whatever the language in the new rule is. All I can say is it's overly officious, like Marv Levy would say. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. If a guy has the body control to make that play and get 2 feet in bounds, tap with the toe, it's not. It always used to be tap. Now what do they want? Stomp. You got to get the toe heel. You have to get the whole foot down. Come on now. Just let him be graceful. Let it go toe, tap.
Class is 7. The Finns are 3-0. However, their defense was on the field 90 minutes in that heat.
No question.
Do you think Tua, and we was talking about this before we went live, that hit didn't look good and he was wobbly afterwards?
He was wobbly. They're saying it's a back injury. They're saying he's on the injury report. The first injury report that came out on Monday, which is unusual, but on a short week, the first injury report comes out. And neither team probably practiced, but it was a projection. If they were to practice, here's the guys that could play, here's the guys that couldn't play. And I'll give you a little update on the injury report as of yesterday. Jalen Waddle, he wouldn't have practiced, groin issue. Armstead, the big left tackle, toe problem, he wouldn't have practiced. Robert Hunt, a shin problem, he wouldn't have practiced. Greg Little, both the right guard and the right tackle. Greg Little, finger issue, he wouldn't have practiced. Tua, they list him with a back and ankle injury, and he would not have practiced. They didn't say anything about concussion, anything whatsoever. I'm not sure he went into concussion protocol. Did he go in the tent? I don't know. I'm not sure that he even went in the tent. But I do know that when he came back in, he played very effectively and efficiently. But when he got hit, I saw his head hit the ground. And when you ricochet off the ground like he did the back of your head, it's happened. When you land, and the first thing that, when you hit hard on the ground, and I'm thinking, all right, I guess he did land on his lower back, his buttocks and his lower back first, and then hit his head hard, and his head bounced off the ground, visibly a good bounce. That can cause wooziness. That can ring your bell, as they say. And when he got up, his bell was rung. He wasn't walking in a straight line. Then he went to the ground. He fell. He fell because of a back and ankle injury. If you have a back injury, the last thing you want to do is fall to the ground. How are you going to get up? And he got right up. Okay? How bad's the back injury? He falls to the ground and gets right back up. And he's still, teammates are around him, and they're, around in case he starts to wobble. They're not worried about his back. They're not saying, oh, Tua, you have a back problem. Put your hand on our shoulders. We'll get you off the field. They're making sure that he can walk a straight line. All I can say is the NFLPA, the Players Association, has demanded an investigation. So something's afoul. And, it might end up being a big fine to Ross, the owner, multi-billionaire. The NFL's fined him before, the ugly scenario where he fired the prior coach to Daniels McDaniel is he got fined over all of that mess. He's now the consultant with the Pittsburgh Steelers. That whole thing, he sued the league. Ross got fined. The guy's a billionaire. You can fine him $1 million. You're going to fine him multi-millions. They'll just pay it off. No big deal. Here we go.
We're going to go back to Klaus at 7 because this is the question I have. Let's get Mixon going and wear that defense down. Can't wait for Thursday. The jungle's going to be rocking. Here's my thing, Dave. I put it on Twitter Sunday during the game. Why teams, and I'll take not just the Bengals, any team, you watch college, high school, always trying to bounce everything on the outside when the game has been built on speed. Wow, we saw what P. Ryan did later in the game when it was just, let's fire off and run north-south.
Yeah, and Joe Mixon can do that. And Joe Mixon's very good at that, running between the tackles. I think Joe's he's in a scenario now mentally where he's trying to make the perfect cut. He's overthinking it, trying to do too much. Zach Taylor talked about the 4th and 1, where he decided to try to run a jet sweep on a 4th and 1, and they stuffed that thing. And I remember saying during the broadcast, well, there's some big holes there between the center and guards. Quarterback sneak. Joe Burrow could handle this one pretty easily, and they went to that 4th and 1, getting to the perimeter. And the Jets were lined up appropriately on that one. But the drive you talk about, in this one, in my mind, I hope that this builds some momentum for the offensive line. They got the ball with 10 minutes and 3 seconds to play, and they ran 12 snaps. The 13th play was a 41-yard field goal that missed wide left. But on 8 of the 12 snaps, Samaje Perine ran the football. 8 of the 12 snaps. And they went big. They put an extra lineman in there as a tight end. They had 6 linemen and tight ends in there. A good part of the time, they went big boy ball, put on the big boy pads, and they didn't spread the field. They were right between the hash marks. Here we are. Here we come. We're coming off the ball. See if you can stop us. And I give Samaje Perine credit. He squared his shoulder pads up. He ran behind his pads, and he ran 9 times for 47 yards, over 5 yards a carry. And on that drive, I was hoping that they would run the clock out. They have a 15-point lead, get the ball with 10 minutes to play. I wanted them to take a knee, to just run it down their throat. They start at the 25-yard line, run it out and didn't take a knee, run the clock out, make them burn all their timeouts. They didn't quite get that done, but at the 2-minute and 19-second mark, McPherson missed the 41-yard field goal. So they had the ball for damn near 8 minutes. Pounding it. 8 carries for Samaje Perine on 12 plays. And the 13th play, like I said, was a missed field goal. That was at the end of the football game. Hopefully the momentum will be carried over. The feeling of the offense. There's no better feeling when you're trying to close the game out. The defense knows what you're doing. It's not like you're trying to surprise anybody. You're going big people, big formation, big boy pads. Stop us and get the ball back. You're down 2 scores. Just kept knocking them off the line of scrimmage well enough where Samaje Perine's averaging 5 yards a carry. That will start to build some confidence in your running game. And I think Joe Mixon is going to have a big game in this football game. I think he's going to break out. I think he's going to have a game. That's my prediction on it. I think, just like Joe Burrow, when he had a couple of games that were uncharacteristic, what did he say? Everybody, let's relax. The famous Aaron Rodgers, RELAX, relax. Joe didn't spell it out, but same thing as Aaron Rodgers. I think Joe Mixon, people, relax. I'm going to be fine. I think he has a big game this week. I'd be surprised if he doesn't.
And technically, for them not having really taken part in preseason games, Sunday's game was the 3rd preseason game. They looked sharper than they've looked all season.
Yeah.
And this should be even better.
And low-scoring games. Traditionally, at the beginning of the season, because guys are in preseason mode, in preseason, defense is always ahead of offense. And in the early starts of the early phases of the season, defense is ahead of offense because there's rhythm and timing. Offense is more of a rhythm timing thing. Defense is reactionary. Offense is rhythm timing. A lot of low scores. I mean, Denver wins 11-10. I thought I was looking at, a baseball game in extra innings, that kind of score.
I covered a lot of Iowa and Michigan State games in the past.
Yeah.
That was a typical Iowa and Michigan State game with Mark D'Antonio.
Yeah.
And Ferentz.
Yeah. I mean, it's in this era of football and with the talent that's in the National Football League skill player wise, to have some of the scores that are going down right now, it's incredible. And look at Buffalo. We just talked about 497 yards offense only equated to 17 points. There's not enough efficiency. It's efficiency with what you're doing. You can't waste opportunities. It's like make sure you're not going backwards. Make sure you're moving the ball. And when big play opportunities present themselves, you got to capitalize. And that's the thing that Miami did so well defending the Buffalo Bills. There were no big plays. I don't know how many plays over 20 yards they had. 90 plays, almost 500 yards. That's not a huge yards per play average. I mean, that's a lot of snaps. Man, that's a lot of snaps. And Jared Allen was talking about how he couldn't keep his hand dry. It was so hot down there throwing the football. This Miami Dolphin defense, I know they practice and they play it, but I remember talking to players and coaches that were playing in Miami when I was a player, and they said, man, training camp, 2-a-days, and that weather is so tough. The players are spent. When training camp's over, the coaches have to do a good job of letting the players recover because it's so brutal on you down there with that heat and humidity. So a defense that played 90 snaps in 110, I think it was, 110-degree heat index with the heat and humidity, you got to figure they're a little bit gassed. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that McDaniel obviously realizes that, and Boyer, the defensive coordinator, realizes that, and they're going to proceed accordingly, letting these guys recover and respond. But, offensively, the Miami Dolphins, they should be fresh as a daisy. They only ran 39 snaps. I mean, gosh, that's not even a half, for the Buffalo Bills in this football game. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all has an effect, if any, on Thursday night.
Dave, we got to thank everybody here at First Star Logistics for everything they do for us.
Yep.
If it wasn't for them, we would not be here. And again, I wanted that little teaser. We got some big things coming, and maybe like a new studio.
New studio. How about that? I don't. That'll give nothing like new digs. You know, get the. And from what I hear, I haven't seen anything yet, but I've seen pictures, and from what I'm hearing, it's going to be pretty darn nice. And one thing about First Star Logistics, when they decide to do something, they're all in. They are all in. It's like top shelf, top notch, grade A, prime, no question.
All right. The great. Wants to know about Cordell Volson's development. Seems rapid but steady. Thoughts on the development now that, we're getting ready to go to week 4?
Yeah, I think he's playing very well for a young football player. I mean, he played against a guy that made the Pro Bowl 5 straight years with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Cam Hayward is a beast. And to play against Cam Hayward, your very first game in the National Football League, that would be like, my rookie year, okay, your first game is against Joe Green, Pittsburgh Steelers, Mean Joe Green. Challenge, man. No two ways about it. And he took some and he gave some. I thought he battled in that football game against Cam Hayward. And I thought the very next week he improved dramatically against the Dallas Cowboys. And I think that, like you said, his graph is going up. He's a very, very steady football player. The thing about Volson is his level of consistency. His high bar is pretty high. His low bar is also pretty high. It's not like some guys have an extremely high bar and an extremely low bar. And, they play like this, up and down, the graph's up and down. And the coaches are always concerned. Geez, we're going to get, good Volson or bad Volson. And you don't want to have to deal with that when you're calling plays and whatever the case may be, or you're an offensive line coach filling out a lineup. You want consistency of performance. And for a rookie, that's what Cordell Volson is giving at a very high level, I think. Very, very consistent performance. He's very strong. He's very committed. He's very dedicated. He's a team guy. Veteran players respect him. He loves his veteran players. I mean, he's made of the right stuff. Bottom line is he's made of the right stuff. And I think Cordell Volson is going to be around the National Football League and here in Cincinnati for a very, very long time.
Ed Mathis, thoughts on the defense? I think Trey and the defense is going to have a big Tua sandwich on the side of Cheetah.
Yeah, that'd be nice. That'd be nice. I mean, I will say Tua gets the ball out quickly. And one thing that Tua does, and Cheetah caught some heat because he basically was saying that Tua was much more accurate than Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he was quoted as saying that, and everybody kind of gave Cheetah a little bit of shade over that. But I will say Tua is a straight A quarterback in the form that he throws with accuracy and anticipation. Joe Burrow can do the same thing. Both these quarterbacks are straight A quarterbacks. When you can get the ball out quickly, throw it the anticipation, and still put it in a very, very good spot, the best spot for your receiver to make a play on it, you got something special. So it's going to what you have to do with Tua is mix it up. Don't let him get comfortable. Don't let him get in a rhythm. And I thought the Bengals, the biggest thing they did to Joe Flacco was they got him off his spot. They didn't let him set his feet. Joe Flacco was not in the pocket like a statue, going through his mechanics and taking a step and striding into that front foot and delivering the football. Sometimes his feet were parallel. Sometimes he was on the move. I mean, his footwork was very inconsistent because of the pressure. As a result, if your footwork's inconsistent, your accuracy is going to be inconsistent. And I think the Bengals did a very good job of that. So I think the pressure on Flacco was much more than just the quarterback sacks. They did not let him set his feet, take his stride into his throws, and make real good throws mechanically. They messed with him. They messed with his mechanics. And that's what you're going to have to do with Tua as well. don't let him set his feet, get his foundation, and let him stand there and throw the football. That's going to be a big factor in this football game. So going to make him where, and I also think Lou Anarumo did a good job. He blitzed Mike Hilton off the slot. He blitzed Jesse Bates off the backside. He changed up his blitzes. He was bringing different guys at different times, and it gets to a point where quarterback doesn't trust his eyes. And I think that was, honestly, that was, in my mind, Joe Burrow, one of Joe's biggest issues early on. He wasn't trusting his eyes like he normally did. And then his eyes would drop to the pass rush. So, now you're looking for a pass rush lane to run the football instead of trusting your eyes down the field and looking to attack and get the ball out quickly. They made Joe Flacco not trust his eyes as much as he had been in prior games. And I think that was a big factor. That's what you have to do with Tua as well. Don't allow him to get in a rhythm, get confidence, trust his eyes, get the ball out of his hand quickly.
Tim Cisco, why hasn't Joseph Asai done anything? Thought he was the next Micah Parsons.
Yeah, well, he played 40 snaps in the last football game, and I thought he pressured he was a factor in Joe Flacco's uncomfortable pocket presence. I think the next Micah Parsons, I don't think you heard anybody say that. I think
there's only a few.
That's Micah Parsons. Everybody's saying he's the next LT. So you're talking about real high level of player there. Micah Parsons, 6'3", 250 pounds, runs 4.3. 6'3", 200, maybe 6'4", 250 pounds, runs 4.3. They can line him up at corner and not be fearful of a guy running by him. Are you kidding me? He's a sub 4.4 guy at 250 pounds. You're talking about a rare breed there. Nobody said he's another Micah Parsons, and nobody will say he's another Micah Parsons. But Joseph Asai, he'll give you some action off the edge, and I think that will continue. That was the most snaps he's taken by far in any of the first three games. So he's ramping up, and hopefully he continues to work on it. And
this is like
he's got ability. This is his rookie year. He was hurt the whole. It is his rookie year. It's not like it. He got hurt in the first preseason game as a rookie. So this is virtually his rookie year. He the very first series against Tom Brady, he got a quarterback sack and then got hurt on the next time he rushed the passer, and he was out for the entire year. And we talked about it before. He has one of his injuries was a wrist injury. And he's now it's just getting to the point where he's been rehabbing it real well. If you can't use your hands, you can't grab, pull, and you don't have the strength in your forearm and your hands because of wrist injury, and you're playing one hand and one arm that way, that's brutally tough. You can get yourself in position with your feet and your explosive, your first step explosion, but all the great pass rushers had tremendous hands as well. Any endeavor in sports, we talked about this a million times, starts with feet, ends with your hands. Blocking does. Pass rushing does. Defending the run does. Starts with your feet, explode, separate from the block with your hands. It all is the same. If you're playing one-handed and one-armed against great people that are in the National Football League, it can be tough. He's coming, but don't ever expect him to be Micah Parsons. There's not many, if any, other Micah Parsons in the National Football League. He's a freak.
Crystal Johnson, we already talked about the Bengals secondary against the Dolphins receivers. She wants to know, how about the Dolphins secondary, how it stacks up against the Bengals receivers?
Yeah, I think that's going to be another great matchup. There's no two ways about it. I'm trying to remember the injury report here. There was somebody, Brandon Jones, the safety. He wouldn't have practiced on Monday with a chest injury if they did practice. And then at the other safety, Javon Holland, he had a neck issue, and he wouldn't have practiced as well. But like I said, Xavier Howard is one of the top handful of corners in the National Football League. Whichever of the great wide receivers for the Cincinnati Bengals lines up against him, that's a something to watch. That's a battle within the war as such that you need to take a look at, because Howard is a great player, no question about it. Nick Needham, is a solid NFL corner. There's no doubt about that. But the star is Xavier Howard. He's big time. Also, one of their backup corners, Kohu, ankle injury. He wouldn't have practiced on Monday as well. Now, that's not to say all these guys won't play. That was just the day after the game on Sunday. Practice on Monday projected. Would they have been able to go? A lot of these guys for both football teams, they'll probably be out there practicing today. But the Bengals injury report, they had LC Collins is on the report. He wouldn't have practiced Monday with his back problem. He played all 68 snaps. He played every single snap against the New York Jets and played at a higher level. He didn't have to face the defensive player of the year and TJ Watt 1 week. And then the next week, the guy we were just talking about, Micah Parsons, a good number of snaps, the runner-up defensive player of the year and the defensive rookie of the year. So he started out with two opponents that are the best in the NFL. And he played all 68 snaps. And I was down in the field when he was warming up before the game. He went out pre-game warm-up. And there was a little bit of concern because he didn't practice at all last week. And Frank Pollock was out there with the medical staff and trainers, and they were watching his every move. They were putting him through a routine. They had him take pass sets. They had him pull right, pull left, come off the ball, like a straight drive, angle blocking. They had him do all the movements and to see if there was any kind of hindrance, if the back was causing him any kind of problem whatsoever. I didn't see anything. And obviously they determined he was able to rock and roll, and he went out there and played all 68 snaps. But back injuries are tricky, and he wouldn't have gone on Monday. DJ Reader obviously wouldn't have gone with the knee injury. Drew Sample he's going to be out for a few months. They have not put him on injury reserve yet. It's basically a procedural thing, because now if they put Drew Sample down now, I think it's after this week, he can come back after 3 weeks instead of 4. So it's a procedural type thing from a roster standpoint. Joe Mixon would have been limited with an ankle injury. That's another factor with Joe Mixon. His ankle's bothering him a little bit. Jermaine Pratt would have been limited with a knee problem. He didn't play last week. The fact that he didn't play, if it had not a short week this week, I think there'd be no question. I think it's pretty certain he's going to play anyway. And then Mitchell Wilcox has an ankle that's still that high ankle sprain. Those things can hinder and linger for a while. He's had a high ankle sprain that he's been dealing with, and he wouldn't have practiced on Monday either. But a lot of these guys we're talking about, they're going to play. I mean, they're going to play on the short week. There's no question. But I think the Cowboys had 9 people on their list, and the Bengals had 6. So guys are a little bit dinged up, and you have to take care of that properly. You can't skip treatment. You have to make sure you get your treatments. If you're an injured player, you have to give above and beyond. You may have to get double treatments. You may have to get triple treatments. If you're a guy like DJ Reader, that's what he's doing now. He is basically living in the training room. He's in the whirlpool. Then he's on the training table getting ice treatments. And then they're doing physical therapy with the movements and all that sort of thing, trying to work him overtime, see if he can make the dance and participate some.
King of the foothills. So the butt punt happened on Sunday.
Yeah.
Dave, what's the wildest play you remember from your playing days?
Oh boy, that's butt punt is that's an unusual one. There's no two ways about that. I do remember a field goal attempt that hit one of our offensive linemen in the back of the head. So it was blocked, but it wasn't blocked by a defensive player. It was blocked because the kicker hit it with such a low trajectory as our offensive line, and blocking down inside and protecting the kicker. Boom, ball hits a lineman in the back of the head. So sometimes these special teams plays can look a little funky. There's no question about that. But the reason that the butt punt happened, personal protector backed up. He backed up, and then he got knocked backwards further into the punter was on the back line of the goal line. The punter did not want to step out of bounds like Jimmy Garoppolo did. That's a safety. You don't want to step out of bounds with possession of the football. Like Jimmy G took his 7-step drop after a play action pass and stepped out of bounds, stepped out of the back of the end zone. Safety. But it would have been a safety, but it was a pick six, so it's a touchdown anyway. But in this case, if you step on the back line, if you put your heel on the back line and you step back, you're done. It's a safety. So he's tight roping, and usually it's 14 yards between the snapper and the punter. There wasn't, so it was compressed anyway. And when the personal protector backed up, he was in danger of having the football hit him right up the buttocks, and that's exactly what happened. And I'm sure he's got a nice purple memoir of that right now. He's got a little souvenir on that right cheek where that ball struck, because, I mean, when it comes off a punter's foot, it comes off with some authority. And that was right after the full compression of the ball, right after impact. And when you watch it on slow motion, his entire backside shudders, man. That buttocks and that back of his leg, that's a lot of force hitting that area. And I'm sure if they had audio that could have been picked up, I'm sure we would have picked up a heck of a yelp right there, because that, I can guarantee you, did not feel good.
Nate Shields. Hey, Lap, just joining. You see this being a game for Dax? And how much white you hoping to see Thursday? Love the show. Who day?
Thanks, Nate. Yeah, I mean, Dax is in a scenario where Lou Anarumo is an excellent defensive coach, defensive coordinator. He cut his teeth as a defensive back, as a player. He cut his teeth in the NFL as a coach, as a defensive backfield coach. He spoke about, he had Xavier Howard down at Miami, and he said he wasn't going to play Xavier Howard right away. He didn't want to kill his confidence. He didn't start playing as a rookie till about week 14. And that's because you don't want to kill a guy's confidence. You don't want him, you want to make sure that he's not only technique sound, but understands all the nuances of the National Football League, playing on the back end against these great skill players. You know, a thing that happens now, these defensive backs have to communicate on the fly as routes are developing down the football field. Safeties and corners are communicating, passing guys off. I mean, you don't want to have a miscommunication where I'm passing a guy off, but I communicated it wrong, and the cornerback doesn't get it right, and the guy runs free. And that's what happened in Baltimore when the Miami Dolphins had their comeback. You don't let Cheetah get 20 yards behind the defense. That's a miscommunication. That's a mental error. And it happened twice. I mean, the Miami Dolphins had guys running down the football field against the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore with that secondary, that they blew it mentally, not physically. It was mental error, killer mental error. He doesn't want to put Dax in that situation. But he does have packages where Dax Hill is going to be involved. He'll be one of three safety packages. A lot of it may be based on running game. A lot of it might be based on who knows what. If he doesn't play as much against the Miami Dolphins, he might play a ton against the Baltimore Ravens. Why? Because look who the quarterback is. He can kill you with his feet and legs, and he can kill you with his throwing arm. 3 safety package against the Baltimore Ravens may be a big part of the game plan. But you don't necessarily want Dax Hill to be out in the football field for 50 snaps for the first time against Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens potentially. So maybe, he gets a few more snaps in this football game from a package standpoint against the Dolphins, because Tua is a big RPO guy. The Miami Dolphins do the run-pass option very, very well. And then they'll play action off the run-pass option. So, maybe Dax Hill is going to be a little bit of a factor defending that run-pass option look as an extra safety, and the play-action pass part of the run-pass option. Only one man knows right now, and now more than one because they presented the game plan to the team, but Lou Anarumo knows what he's thinking in terms of Dax Hill, even though they'll practice all these different packages during the week, but the game may unfold totally differently than what you anticipated. So that package may not see the field all that much. It may not see the field as much as you anticipated. it would see the field. But Lou Anarumo, I trust that he knows what he's doing with respect to playing guys in the secondary. And it's not like the secondary is not playing well. It's playing very well. So it's a good problem to have. It's a good problem to have. I mean, if you've got a really good football player who you feel can play, it's good to have a situation where you can pick and choose and determine how and when and where you're going to play them.
When you're having fun, they say time goes fast. It's been an hour already, Dave.
Wow.
Dan the Man, going to enjoy seeing Isaac and Willie joining the Ring of Honor Thursday. Yep. Very special for you. One, Isaac Curtis being a former teammate that you guys were together, and then Big Willie, a friend to in the trenches as well.
Yep.
And talk about, again, this is year 2 of the Ring of Honor and 2 great ones going in.
Yeah. Willie Anderson basically gave up a sack a year. That's what it boils down to. Played 16 years, gave up 16 sacks. He played against the Michael Strahans and all the great rushers. The top 10 rushers of Willie's era, he gave up a sack. He gave up 1 sack to the top 10 rushers of his era, and that was Bruce Smith in garbage time of a game, Willie's rookie year against the Buffalo Bills. Willie Anderson was special. 18 Triple E shoe, big old feet, but he could move them, man. He had sweet feet. Willie Anderson, he had tremendous footwork. He was a technician, and then he had big, strong hands. He got himself in position to get his hands on you, and once he got his hands on you, it was over. You were done. He was unbelievable as a pass protector. Didn't really have a quarterback. That's the thing. Willie Anderson, if he had a quarterback for a bigger portion of his years with the Cincinnati Bengals, they would have won a lot more games, and he would have been probably a more highly recognized player because his abilities. I mean, Michael Strahan has said should be in the Hall of Fame. Bill Cowher has said should be in the Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame guys that played against him, coached against him, are saying Willie Anderson should be in the Hall of Fame. Okay, talk about how great he was as a pass protector. He was an equally proficient run blocker. I remember his rookie year, John Copeland was a real good run stuffer, and they went on a nutcracker drill one-on-one, and Willie Anderson hit into John Copeland, and all of a sudden raises him up, and John Copeland's eyes get big like eggs, and he goes over on his back, and Willie pancakes him. I'm like, woo, Bengals got something here. They got a powerful guy at the right tackle position, got a drive blocking son of a gun. He was a devastating run blocker. Corey Dillon broke the rookie rushing record of Jim Brown with Willie Anderson leading the way at the right tackle position, knocking people off the line of scrimmage. Corey Dillon broke the single game rushing record of Walter Payton at the time. Jim Brown's was 246 yards as a rookie rusher. Walter Payton's was 278. And Corey Dillon broke them with Willie Anderson at the right tackle position, being the key component in the run game up front. And that's when teams were going with 8-man boxes. Because like I said, the Bengals really didn't have a quarterback that could shred you in the passing game. So people were like, we're not going to let Corey Dillon beat us. Oh, yeah? Willie and the guys up front said, yeah, Corey Dillon's going to beat you. So like I'm saying, if there was a Pro Bowl quarterback to go with Corey Dillon and Willie Anderson at right tackle, whew, man, kidding me. But it didn't work out that way. But that's Willie. Isaac Curtis was a guy when he was at Cal. He made the Olympic. Basically, the 2 guys that made the Olympic sprint team, Isaac beat them both in 100-yard dash back in those days. Now it's 100 meters, 100-yard. He beat them both. Isaac Curtis had the Olympic sprint team made. He decided he was transferring to San Diego State, and he decided that he was going to focus on football because he was being moved from the running back position to wide receiver. And a guy named Don Coryell was the coach. Don Coryell said, you're a wide receiver. You're not a running back. He was a really good running back. But at Cal, they had him blocking more than running. That coach should have been fired. I don't know why the hell they wouldn't put the ball in Isaac Curtis's hands as a running back. But at any rate, he goes to San Diego State. Paul Brown sees Isaac Curtis and how he could run and stretch the field, takes him early in the first round. This was a football player that had world-class track speed. This was not a track guy trying to play football. This was a football player that had eye-popping speed. He averaged over 17 yards a catch for his career. Now, in today's NFL, that's almost impossible to do. Guys average 17, 18 yards a catch. That's a big deal, in a game, for a season. He did it for his career. He averaged over 21 yards 2 different seasons in his career with like 40 catches. 45 catches was a big deal back in the 70s. I mean, if you threw it 25 times in a game, you were lighting it up. Now they throw it 25 times and a half. I mean, it was a different thing back then. Everybody ran the football. The passing game had not evolved to what it is in today's NFL. It just wasn't like that. But Isaac Curtis, man, they had to, when you're a receiver or you're a player that basically, because of your skill set and your ability, they put in a rule, the Isaac Curtis rule. Paul Brown got it passed with the competition committee. Back in the day, I mean, the Pittsburgh Steelers, Mel Blount, 6'3", 205-pound cornerback. And you could cut Isaac Curtis's legs right out from under him 10 yards down the field. He could be in the middle of a route, chop him. Totally legal. And I remember Isaac coming back to the huddle and saying, Lap, I get this linebacker dude out here. He's trying to wear me out. I mean, Paul Brown said, look, we have tremendous athletes. Let's let them, people want to see big plays. Let's let them play. So the Isaac Curtis rule, you could contact players, reroute them, chuck them within 5 yards. After 5 yards, couldn't do it. It's been liberalized. They let some contact happen, but they can't grab and hold. Never mind chop or block them. They'd try to block Isaac out of bounds if he was running a sideline route. So he changed the game because of his excellence. I remember one year, I'm trying to think, what's the Oilers? I think it might have been the Oilers. It's 4th and 4, and we're like 44 yards out of a touchdown, away from pay dirt. I have a bunch of 4s as I recall it. He runs a slant, makes a linebacker miss, makes a safety miss, 44-yard touchdown. It got play of the year with some kind of media scenario that picked offensive play of the year. Isaac Curtis on 4th down, 4th and 4, 44-yard touchdown to win the game or whatever. That's him. Courageous, run routes in the middle of the field, take hits. Isaac Curtis, unbelievable football player. Not only the great speed, but he caught the back half of the football so many times. Sticky fingers, glue fingers, tremendous hands. On top of that, both of these guys, as great football players as they are, unbelievable human beings, tremendous teammates, leaders. I mean, guys, guys that you want to go in a foxhole with, no question about it. As they say, made of the right stuff, both of them. Not just on a football field. I'm talking about living their lives on a day-to-day basis.
Got to take care of some business before we get off here.
All right.
One, Joe was asking about keys to the game. Joe, that'll be out tomorrow. So make sure you come back to In the Trenches. Cliff said, he told everybody, please hit the subscribe button.
There you
hit
go.
The like button. Hit the notification button. That way you know when things are happening. We're almost to 7,000 subscribers.
Good stuff.
We want to get even bigger than that.
Pass the word. Pass the word, folks.
We appreciate everybody who is subscribed, everyone who watches the videos.
Yep.
We're trying to make this channel continue to grow.
And the thing that convinces me of desire to try to make this as good as we possibly can is you guys. When we do this type of thing, when we do a live stream and we get the response that we're getting and we get the questions that we get from you people, we're talking about educated fans here. We're talking about people that understand the game of football. And I love, talking football with people like you guys. So I enjoyed each and every time. Thanks for your contributions. It's not a live stream without you guys, that's for sure. And you guys make it very, very enjoyable.
And I got to give a shout out to Yash because he's going to watch the game Thursday night.
Unbelievable.
So my son spent 4 years in the Air Force in England. Diehard Bengals fan, as you know. I had a chance to meet him a couple months ago. Yash is going to be up at 1:15 a.m. for kickoff.
I remember doing NFL Europe games in London, and other places, Germany, Amsterdam, wherever, and trying to watch NFL games. I don't know how you're going to do it, Yash, because when I did it, I paid the next day. I paid big time. It took me almost 2 days to recover. I respect you, bro. I respect you big time. Enjoy the game, Yash. Hopefully the Bengals put together a big performance for you, man.
And again, we have to say it. The things that First Star Logistics has done for us since we started this channel is unbelievable. We come in here. I get a chance to go on Friday nights to a high school game that they sponsor, and people ask what makes First Star special. And it's like, Dave, when we walk out here, there's so much things that are going on.
Yeah.
There's TVs out there, there's sports on all day. This is a sports friendly company. Everyone's always energetic.
Yep.
Seem like they're having a great time.
And it's like in sports, you're only as good as your team. Here at First Star, they all understand the team concept, and you're only as good as your team. But, I remember vividly saying, I don't want to be the guy that's letting the team down. I want to make sure I hold up my own end of the bargain. And that's the mentality all these guys and gals have out here at First Star. They all don't want to be the person that lets the team down. They all want to be somebody that lifts the whole boat. And they have, people talk about culture. You hear coaches talk about, I want to create a culture with this organization. I want to create a culture with this football team. I want to change the culture. At First Star Logistics, they have built a culture here that is huge, and it leads to success, and it's all based on teamwork. And you know what? If you have a tremendous individual performance, that gets plenty of recognition. There's no question about it. And individual performances, you add them up, all of a sudden the whole team getting lifted. That's what it's all about. Individuals performing at a high level leads to outstanding team performance.
Yeah, there'll be people who work here Thursday night in the First Star Logistics suite.
Yep.
As rewards for their performance. And
incentivization, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. So
incentivization.
We have to thank everybody, because this is the response that we get, especially on these live streams, is unbelievable. And we got it worldwide, from Yash to those who are local. We get the comments. Please leave comments on the videos that we put out. You guys this man right here that I get the chance to work with every week, hardest man. I don't know how he does it, because his schedule is cram-packed, and yet he makes time every week to come in and spend time to put these videos together that we put out. And I appreciate his time. And I know you fans love Dave Lapham, because I grew up a big fan of Dave Lapham's. I still somewhere have in my storage a little program when he used to go play basketball. And the Bengals used to go around and
play Bengals basketball, yeah.
And
play the faculties at different high schools.
Yeah. So that's and you talked about Willie. The thing that impresses me most about Willie Anderson is the fact I know he survived Rick Trickett as his O-line coach at Auburn, because Rick Trickett was my brother's O-line coach at West Virginia, and he's an SOB. And that's an compliment.
Right.
He's one of the best O-line coaches that's out there. So, but
the thing that I love about doing this, and I appreciate the compliment, Dave, and I want to compliment you on everything you put into it. People, you have no idea how many hours, and unbelievable hours. We're talking late night, early morning hours that this man puts into putting out the product that we have here. And it's his work ethic is second to none. But the thing that we all have in common, we love football, and I love the game. And all of us, that's the common denominator for everybody involved with this. So let's keep it rolling. Let's have
big
it.
night.
Let's have
big
it.
night Thursday night.
Here we go.
All right, everybody. Thank you for being with us today. Stay with In the Trenches with Dave Lapham for all the latest on what's going on with the Cincinnati Bengals, and even sometimes outside the world of the Bengals in the sports world. So until next time, for Dave Lapham, I'm Dave Burke. Again, thank you, and we'll see you next time.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realized self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.